view from the chair. Welcome back to another episode of A View from the Chair. I am your host, Patrice Jordan Robinson, Council Chair and City Council Representative for District 3 here in the beautiful city of Memphis, Tennessee. We're going to cover a lot on today's show, so sit back and relax. Starting with my guest, Carol Coletta, President of the CEO of Memphis River Parks Partnership, as well as Nick Walker. He is the Interim Division Director for Parks and Neighborhoods at the City of Memphis.
We're getting funky, y'all.
33% of Americans have a college degree. 43% of Africans in this country have a college degree. These are African immigrants that are coming into this country. They didn't have the opportunity and access, but they came over here in this American dream and created within this framework the opportunity that this country was set up, the ideal it was set on. And now to say that these people, because the disparaging remark goes further than just told.
It's Funky Politics on the Kazukian Network. R&R on Sports.
Former NBA basketball player, Brother Mario Ellie. Welcome to R&R on Sports.
Pleasure to be out here with you guys, man. Thank you guys for having me.
It's R&R on Sports.
Welcome to A View from the Chair to both of you. Hi.
Hey.
Good to see you. So today I'm all excited about the sun shining outside. I understand the humidity is about to go up. So you're going to have a little more grass in the parks and more people. So Nick and Carol, to just start the show off today, both of you have been able to continue to do phenomenal work with parks and neighborhoods and the Memphis River Parks Partnership. Other than the COVID-19, what's the most challenging part of your work? And don't forget funding. I'm going to start with you this time, Nick.
Well, first of all, given the timing of this, I want to thank you and your fellow council members for helping us navigate what was not a fun budget time decision. The good news is, we are dealing with some cuts, but the cuts were strategically made and smartly done enough to the point where I don't think, with any luck, we should not be service impacting, which is really what we were striving to do. That's obviously forefront on our mind, is providing as many services to the citizens of Memphis as we can and making sure that they're good quality services. That being said, I think we found a good middle ground, and that's really what we're shooting for. In this time, figuring out new and different ways to provide those services so that people feel safe and welcome and invited is really what we're doing every day. My team and I, as soon as we get off this podcast, I'm going to sit down with my executive team and we're going to discuss where we are and where we want to get. We do that every 2 weeks and every week. And it's really rewarding and really it's good work and it's hard work and we're looking forward to it.
So how many times do you ride around the city and actually look at the parks and tell me what you see?
Quite a bit. I every time, and this is gonna sound insane, but every time we get a complaint into 311, I either go there or I make sure that somebody FaceTimes me from there so I can see what they see, because I want to know what the people of Memphis feel upset enough to get on a phone or the computer and tell us about. And to me, that's important because it's a reflection of how well we're doing our job is how happy our constituents are. And so at least once a day, I'm out driving around. I've been to all 30 centers, all 17 pools, all 8 golf courses, played all 8 is probably the easiest part. And I've been to, out of the 162 parks, I've been to about 70 of them. Okay. My goal is by the end of the year to have taken a tour with our planning administrator to every single one of them and understand them. Only about 120 of them are developed, so I feel like it's a little bit of cheating. But
so I shouldn't ask you this, but I got to ask you, what's your favorite golf course?
Oh, my favorite golf course?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, and it's actually not too far from you. It's Pine Hill. I think Pine Hill is
Okay.
I like Whitehaven. Whitehaven is the prettiest, in part because it's the newest and has the nicest clubhouse. But my favorite is Pine Hill. Down in South Memphis and North Memphis have some elevation and some hills. Don't sleep on. Think we're all flat.
That's my husband's favorite as well. So, Carol, what are your challenges?
Well, I want to say I grew up near Pine Hill golf course. That was very much part of my life. First of all, I want to echo also what Nick said about funding. I know it was a really tough funding year. And of course, we get an allocation from the city. On top of our allocation, we have earned income from the dock and from parking, believe it or not, and event rentals. And of course, our revenue, like most revenue of operations downtown, just flatlined. And so that put a big hole in our budget. So we were so grateful to maintain the city funding and even get the extra money there at the last minute for grass cutting. So, in addition, and funding's always a challenge, but I really think our challenge on the riverfront, we've been having this planning thing going on for 100 years. Everybody knows it's there. And they know it's an asset. I mean, this is not a new playbook. I mean, every city in the country with a waterfront has figured out, oh my gosh, now that it's not industrial use anymore, now that it's not the back door of our city, how do we really lift it up as the front door? And we've done it in bits and pieces in Memphis, but we're on the greatest river and we just never quite, managed to fully embrace the riverfront as the front door to our city, and it's for people, no longer is it for industry. And I think we finally have a chance to do that, but getting people, it's funny, you'll appreciate this, Council Chairwoman, Cory Booker, now Senator, but then the mayor of Newark, and I were waiting to go on to speak one day. And I had a minute to ask him. I said, what is your biggest challenge as mayor? And he looked at me, he went, big sigh. And he said, getting people to believe that things can be different. And I thought, oh, that's really Zen, right? I love that. Getting people to believe that things can be different. And in my job, I completely know what he means now. It's like just getting people to believe that things can be different. If you get them to believe things can be different, then they start to act on that belief, and then they make that belief real. They make that reality real. So I would say, it sounds esoteric, but that is the biggest challenge we have, along with, funding to do the things that you want to do for the people who visit the riverfront.
So while you're talking about that, talk to me about what improvements are you making? Are you doing your final design? What do you want Memphians to know about the details about what's going on downtown at our riverfront?
Well, we've completed three big projects in the last 2 years. One was River Garden. Second was the remake of what was Confederate Park with the Jeff Davis statue. It's now Fourth Bluff Park. And we did the River Line. That's a bike pedestrian trail to connect 5 miles of riverfront, which is great. So those were 3 projects that came on very quickly, and we're really thrilled to get those done. The next 2 big projects are the cobblestones that, of course, we're doing both of these in conjunction with the city. But we've got 5 blocks of historic cobblestones right at the foot of our, of downtown, right at the edge of the city, that will be completely redone starting this fall, which is really exciting. The second big project, of course, is Tomley Park, which is 31 acres of land, flat, sort of featureless, that was really a holding ground, if you will, after the Corps of Engineers decided to expand to shore up the dike and expand the park. So they just sort of put grass on it and a few walkways and said, someday we'll build a real park. So that's our opportunity now. We're going to build a really lush, fabulous park that People, I think, will feel like they're on vacation. It will show Memphis so well. I think we'll end up with the best waterfront in the country. And we'll break ground on a piece of that park starting in November, which is super exciting. And then once Memphis in May finishes in 2021, using the park, the ground plane of the park, then we'll be able to go in and work on that. The first project we'll do start in November is on the bluff, to build an ADA accessible ramp from the bluff to top of the bluff to the bottom of the bluff and to the riverfront, which will be the only one that we have in Memphis, that's important and exciting for access.
That's phenomenal. I'm so glad you're able to do that. So, Nick, talk to us about the major projects that you've got going on in the park system. And I know everybody wants to know what's going on at Ed Rice. I get emails about that every day. And please tell me what's going on in my own district in Whitehaven.
So those are the two big projects that one of them we're looking at groundbreaking on this year, which will be the Ed Rice Community Center, the new Fraser Community Center. Looking at my notes here, demo is scheduled to start in mid-July with the completion date in February of 2022. So we jokingly refer to the most recent new park project also in your district at David Carnes Park as Six Flags over Whitehaven. I like to refer to the new Ed Rice as Six Flags over Fraser.
Okay.
It's going to be beautiful. I've now done a couple of community with Councilwoman Easter Thomas, done a couple of community meetings up there to talk about the design. Fraser is so different geographically than anywhere else in the rest of the city. I know it shares some similarities with Raleigh, but just the topography, the rolling hills, the trees, the very rural feel of it, particularly with Ed Rice, with Fraser Park directly behind Ed Rice. The fact that it is going to be a steel and glass construction, very intentional by the architects at Archimania, that you should be able to, on Watkins, look through the center and see into the park behind it, so that at any time you feel the connection to the neighborhood and the center itself. It's going to unify, for anybody that's been up there recently. Mm-hmm. It was a house that kept getting added on to. The community center was built, then down the hill from it was built the pool, then down the hill from that was built the tennis courts, with no real connection between them. It very much felt like three separate structures. Well, Archimania took the feedback from the community that they wanted to feel like a unified center and connected the front with an enclosed walkway, which will also serve as a walking trail inside the center with a path and a loop around the front of it, so that folks can take advantage of that. I'm just really looking forward to it. It's the first community center we've built since the Hickory Hill and Burt Ferguson buildings, which is a little bit shameful, but it's also needed, and I think will be a great asset for the people of Memphis. The people of Fraser primarily, but it will be a regional draw. It will be a beautiful center that bring in people for basketball tournaments and family gatherings and important things. I'm looking forward to it. The renovations going on at the Whitehaven Community Center.
Thank you. That's what I'm waiting on.
Well, I knew, but it's that writing thing. I got to keep you waiting for the part that you're waiting on. The third splash pad in the city of Memphis at a public facility is on schedule for July 1st. We worked with the contractor to say that even though we probably are going to, it's questionable. We're going to work with the health department to figure out exactly when we can have kids on the splash pad, but I want it available the day that the Shelby County Health Department says we can have kids out there. I want it up and going. So we're really looking forward to that. As you know, that's a phased project there. And my goal is that that's phase 1 of 3, because I want to see a couple more things happen at that community center. But that is one. We're also, as you know, from the Marathon Council meeting yesterday, we got a few new playgrounds that we're going to be putting out.
Yes.
At McFarland Community Center and Kennedy are the two big ones. And we're also going to be replacing the play surface and putting new equipment at Audubon. So I think that, as you said earlier, y'all gave me the money and the time. Now I got to prove it.
That's right.
That is our goal. The goal is to hit the ground July 1 and start to change the face of some of these parks.
Okay. And this question is for both of you. After the COVID, I don't know when after is going to be. Do you think people will just flock back to downtown and our parks?
I think it will be gradual with downtown. Parks are different. I mean, they're already flocking to parks. I mean, I think they have flocked to parks during the pandemic. But downtown, I think, is going to be challenged as people decide when to send people back to work. And then when do we have special events, and when do tourists crowd back into clubs? All of those, I think, are particularly challenged humans gathering situations. And, I was thinking last night, I'm particularly grateful that our riverfront is so busy. I mean, we've got a lot of space so people can social distance, and it can still be busy, especially with the closed Riverside Drive. And that is filling in some ways for what is pretty slow with office coming back. I mean, I think human beings want to be with other human beings. So I believe eventually we'll get back. But we just don't know how. We just don't know. No one knows how slowly it will go. I was talking to my daughter earlier today, who owns a major restaurant in Miami, and she was saying, "Mom, when do I reopen? I can't afford to open and then close again." And everybody's going through that. Everybody. When do I go back to work? Do I go back 5 days a week? And all of that. It has such a ripple effect on our restaurants, and all the things that make downtown lively are all affected by this slowly coming back economy.
Okay. Nick?
We saw parks never close down. We had to put in mitigating things like closing the parking lots and shutting down some of the features to try to keep people at bay. That being said, I think some of that was fear of missing out and a desire to sort of quickly rush into the parks. And so I think to be determined is really the best way to put it. I think that people have gained a valuable insight into how much they appreciate outdoor spaces. And I don't think that's going to go away quickly. And so for us, very similar to what you hear a lot of the protesters talk about, which is taking advantage of the moment while people are thinking about it and cognizant of it. I think in parks, we have to do that. While we have people's attention on public spaces and green spaces, we have to say, what to you is an appropriate level of investment, what to you is an appropriate level of fit and finish at these facilities, so that we don't let this moment go by while we're having this public conversation about public amenities. And so from that standpoint, I think it's important that we're ready for it, knowing that how many folks come back and how quickly they come back. Eventually, I think this is the new normal. People want to be outside and they want to feel safe.
Okay. So what is your schedule, Nick, for this summer? Any summer programs, summer camps? Do you have any programming? When are the pools are going to be open? How do you plan to manage that?
So from our standpoint, we made a decision when the health department told us that we could not put on summer camp in the format that we had because we had unlicensed employees running the camp, which is a very nice way of putting, the 16 to 18-year-old kids that we hire every summer as unlicensed employees. We worked with the Y, who is a registered daycare, to be able to do that. So that essentially answers the question through August about the programming in the community centers. As it relates to other programming.
So let me ask you something. What is the Y going to be doing in the community centers? Public wants to know.
They're going to be continuing to run the daycares until when we normally would wrap up day camp in the first week of August before school starts back up. So they've made the commitment that they will extend the daycares until Shelby County schools start in the fall.
Okay.
as to the pools, in phase 2, we are allowed to do things in the pools. We were going to wait until the start of phase 3 to open the pools, but then when the health department changed its mind, we also changed our mind. So starting Tuesday, we are going to have pools open at 6 locations. And if you'll give me just a second, I will give that to you. We may have, we're
going to do a big announcement.
Yeah,
great.
So Tuesday we are going to open up for Tuesday through Saturday at 6 locations: Geisman, Leicester, Raleigh, Tom Lee, Westwood, and Willow, from 1 to 6, Tuesday through Saturday. And because this is sort of a pilot, we're going to see how it goes. And with any luck, if it goes well, like when I say when it goes well, we're going to open up to 6 more locations and then ultimately have all 17 pools operational through the end of the normal summer cycle.
Okay. Are those all outdoor pools?
Yes. In part, there's some discussion about Bickford, since you don't have to go through a community center to get to it. Also a little bit of discussion about Orange Mound, because you can access it from the outside. But Hickory Hill, the only way to get to it is through the center, so it's going to stay closed until we reopen the center. Okay.
But they do have a door to the outside.
They do. I know. I know. We'll figure it out. I forget you've adopted Hickory Hill as well. So
it's in my district.
It is in your district.
I just have a large district.
It's yours.
Yes, it's mine. I know it. I know every door, every inch of it.
But as you know, it's a whole lot easier, and the bathrooms are on the center side.
Yes. That makes sense, does it? Okay. Carol, tell me, what are your summer plans? What are we doing in the park on the river?
Yeah, well, we started by doing, when the pandemic hit, we quickly sort of shifted to solitary activities that could be jointly reported. So we did a major fitness challenge. How far can we walk, run together? So people would log in their miles. And we did the same thing with a nature week, where we did that at a distance. You could do it from home or anywhere. And we're still doing some of that. We have reopened kayaking on a Thursday through Sunday basis right now in the harbor, which is really exciting. We did it last night with a group, and everybody had such a good time. So we'll put more emphasis on kayaking. Very easy to social distance in that regard. And we have we're also taking the parking lot, the closed parking lot at Tom Lee Park, and we're changing that. We're converting it to a Worthy Hero Plaza, Tom Lee, a Worthy Hero. And so that parking lot will become a Worthy Hero Plaza. We'll do a skate park in a third of it. We'll do bleachers to watch the sunset. We're trying to really capitalize on the golden hour right before sunset and the sunset, because it really is spectacular. And then, of course, the bridges are lit after that. And we're also doing some lawn games there. It sounds, but honestly, between the scooters and the Ojos and the bikes and the skates and the runners, we have so much activity on the riverfront that, surprisingly, we don't have to do a lot of programming. The one thing that we've steered clear of mostly is live music. We did 2 fabulous concert series last year in the summer, one on both of them were on Mud Island. But we wanted to steer clear. We're not sure we can really bring people back safely to do that. We do have 2 fabulous pieces of sculpture in Fourth Bluff Park that have become the latest popular photography locations in Memphis, Instagram locations, which is fun. The Hank Willis Thomas, he's an internationally recognized African-American artist. 2 fantastic sculptures. And pretty soon we're going to have a very exciting announcement about local spoken word artist in Fourth Bluff Park as well. So Fourth Bluff is going to be cooking this summer. We're excited.
That's great news. That's great news. Well, we're about to close out another segment. Carol and Nick, do you have any closing thoughts or anything you'd like to share with our listeners or viewers today?
Just come to the river, and you're welcome. We love having you. Come on. It couldn't be prettier. Come for the sunset. Come for the kayaking. Just come to swing. It's fun.
Okay, Carol, tell us how to get to the kayaking. What part of you have some of the river way down on the north end, some close to the south end. What are the activities? Share that with us right quick.
The activities are everywhere, but the kayaking specifically is in River Garden, the park on Riverside Drive between Jefferson and Court.
Okay.
Easy on-street parking at Court or north of River Garden. Okay. And easy parking, come on down.
Thank you. Nick, closing remarks?
I was told by my people to say, follow us on Facebook at Parks and Neighborhoods. You can see all of our online content. We have exercise classes, we have cooking classes, all the stuff that you need. So with like you said earlier about folks back in the kitchen cooking, we got the exercise to burn the calories off on the Facebook page. Make sure you go there. Also,
what about line dancing? Line dancing?
We're working. We're actually working with the folks that teach it at our senior centers to get that back going, because folks got to have their boot scoot. I get how it works.
Thank you. I appreciate both of you sharing with us on today. And if you have any other new news that you want to share, please let me know so that you can join us again on A View from the Chair.
Our experience with Kadzukian has been amazing. They are creative, innovative, flexible, work really hard, and they find the answer to every problem we put in front of them, every challenge we offer. We couldn't have better partners than Kadzukian.
Jazz, America's own original musical art form. When did it start? Who were and are some of the major players? How do you distinguish what kind of jazz you're listening to? Riffin' on Jazz is your weekly visit with friends talking about this music we love. Join Howard Robertson and me, Malvin Massey Jr., as we explore this fascinating and entertaining genre of music. We talk about the great and lesser-known artists, songs and tunes, the instruments, and the social impact jazz has had on world culture since its beginning at the start of the 20th century.
Riffin' on Jazz on the Kadzukian Network.
I've had a wonderful time visiting with our leaders of the Memphis River Parks Partnership, Carol Coletta and Nick Walker, Interim Director of Parks and Neighborhoods. I certainly hope you learned a lot more about your city and the many services that are provided. Remember to practice good social distancing. 6 feet apart. Wash your hands. Wear your mask. The life you save could be your own. Please stay tuned for more episodes of A View from the Chair. And we'll see you next time. I'm your host, Patrice Jordan Robinson, Chairwoman of the Memphis City Council. A View from the Chair.
Recorded at Kadzukian Studios. Directed, produced, and distributed by Kadzukian.